Good God. It is Friday, May 6th. Welcome to VFX and Chill with Hashi and Seth. I am the latter. I'm Seth. And with me, as always, is my good buddy, Daniel Hashimoto, also known as Hashi. How are you, bud?
Hey, I'm doing very well. Coming to you live with bizarre technical challenges from my childhood home in Utah.
Oh, man. A childhood home in Utah. I love being in a childhood home in Utah.
Everyone should have a
I don't have one. I've always dreamed of one, but no, I have a childhood home in Nashville. Tell me, why are you in Utah again? Oh, that's right, because you're traveling the globe.
I am traveling the globe. So Red Giant / Maxon headed to NAB last week. And then next week, we're doing a company retreat in Germany, where we're finally a long overdue meeting of everybody together in Germany, planned for March 2020. I don't remember why we canceled and then canceled again the year after that. But
oh, he froze. So, he's back.
Oh, I'm back. Yeah, the tech didn't like that. So either way, my very generous wife suggested that I come up and visit my parents and hang out in my childhood home in the week in between NAB and Germany, which has been lovely. So I got to do last show from here and this show, and then tomorrow I'm off on a plane.
Incredible. And I am the jerk who's not at any of those things. I am just sitting here in Nashville, scared
just staying there without your viruses or anything.
It's true. It's very, very true. This is I'm deathly jealous. I was jealous while you were in NAB. I'm going to be jealous while you're in Germany, while you and Michael are hanging out. Speaking of Michael, he's not here today. Just thought I would let everyone know that there is a void in the show this week. What if we kept his bounding box up, though, throughout the show, like with his name? Like,
you would still know slightly more about After Effects than we do.
100% true. He is in the chat, though. He's complimenting your nice new shirt, your Maxon shirt, which is very cool.
Check this out, because we create in all dimensions, even the ones that they haven't named yet.
Yeah, all universes.
Think about that.
Even.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, that reminds me of how Everything Everywhere All at Once is enjoying success, and so people are saying it sounds like people like multiverse movies, not that they like.
It's so infuriating.
Not that they like original, amazing. Yeah.
Was it Todd Vaziri who said like this has Get Me Bill Shakespeare vibes, which it 100% does. Like, why in the world is that your takeaway? Like, people are so dumb. No. We like really, really, really good movies. That's
movies
what you should
with
take away.
Sentences as the titles.
Mm-hmm. We do. And man, I am running out of things to say. Here's the thing. We talked about what we should do on the show this week, and then we had some people on Twitter,
including our own Sunny Nagori in the chat today.
Yes, people on Twitter, including Sunny, tell us exactly what we wanted to hear, which was. Hey, how do you guys put out so many Raptors? As you know, if you're fans of the show, we've started I love that was the first one that came up was the Die Hard with the Velociraptor one because it revealed him in the car. We started a Twitter.
Do you not have jobs and assignments by your respective employees that you're supposed to be doing? But it turns out that. Not to brag, but Seth and I have been doing this for many, many, many years, and we have some really, really great tools at our disposal. And so these Velociraptor things are actually just a part of what we contribute to society.
They're a part of us. And they are actually, because people were like, how are you putting out so many of these? How are you getting anything done? And, we just tend to say back, it's actually not as hard as it looks. Like, one, because we've developed kind of a shorthand and quick workflow for making these, but two, we've got, like you said, really great tools at our disposal. And so we thought this week we would actually kind of walk through, we've done some of this Raptor stuff on the show in the past, but I think we've kind of streamlined our approaches, and I thought it might be fun to kind of make a few on the show today and let the audience. So like I've got, I don't have anything planned. Like, I was going to let the audience make suggestions. I've got my Shot Deck account opened up. I was gonna grab some screenshots because most of what I've been posting are stills, with the exception of some screen clips. You come in with like a Marriage Story clip out of nowhere and friggin' blow up the internet. Friggin' triple the Butt with Raptors followers.
Yeah, which, speaking of which, yes, please do follow Butt with Raptors on the Twitter and the Instagram. It is a lovely artistic output. Outlet for Seth and I, and also, as like, if you want to learn more about how we put these together, this is the show for you.
Because what's actually been fun about this, like, I've loved this because, one, it's stupid. Like, it's literally the dumbest thing we could be doing with our time. In fact, my daughter.
Yeah, we do.
My daughter was out of school.
We are fully aware.
Yes, my kids were out of school on Tuesday, and my daughter Ava came downstairs the other day while they were home. Walks in and asks me a question, like right here, and then instead of turning and walking away, stands there and looks at my screen, which I had Cinema 4D open and was animating a Raptor. For this Scream clip that I posted, that we posted on But with Raptors, where I replaced Matthew Lillard with a Raptor head and was trying to make him scream in the exact headspace that I had to work with. And she looks at the screen, looks at me, looks at the screen, and she goes, "Daddy, what's your actual job?" And I felt both joy and deep sadness at the same time in that moment.
I think I have your still of that moment up.
Oh, on the screens?
Here on the screen.
Oh yeah.
I think encapsulated in yeah, this is what our typical workspace looks like.
This is what like, she's just staring at this like, I don't understand what your job is. And so I had to explain the millions of things that I do for a living and how I still am able to say I'm a writer-director. You can and tell your friends that your dad's a commercial director. But I do get to teach people things, and I get to learn things. Because that's the thing that's been so fun about this, is like, I've learned more about Cinema 4D doing these Raptors than I did making a short film with like an animated like monster. It's been really lightweight and fun way of learning. So speaking of learning, why don't we just do it, right?
Let's do some learning. Oh, right. So as a just little historical overview of how we're able to produce this Raptor content so fast, is a lot of it begins with this amazing model that is free, called by the artist Blue Mesh. It's called Blue from Jurassic World.
I'm going to drop you down so we can see that username. I see it right there, and you're coming back.
Here we go. So this is a lovely animated Raptor head available to all of you right at this very moment, if you would like. So please go find. Oh yeah, I see. It's behind my head there. Blue Mesh. So yeah,
Blue
please
Mesh,
go
thank you for
find
making
this model because it's wonderful.
Blue Mesh, you've made our lives really good, because we started out with the Mission Impossible piece. That was at least I was at the front of that, mainly rotoing Raptors out of pre-existing Jurassic clips and dropping them in. You went and found this model, and over time now, this model is all that we do, I think, because it's so versatile and because you rigged it. And was it you who rigged it? Who rigged this thing? I never asked.
No, Blue Mesh had rigged this to begin with. And so what's lovely is that as we learn a little bit more and more about Cinema 4D, we are able to take this lovely head. You can see that. So there it is, and it's got this amazing rig running through it. So it's got. Let's see. Let me open up a simpler version of.
I've got it right here. I've got the default head file that we start with.
Yes. So the few changes we made, modified the mesh just a little bit to straighten out the neck into more of a human neck vector and shape. Because one of the first things that we were dealing with is the original model is like a deer head mounted on a wall, Velociraptor shaped, as it were.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And so we were dealing with that bend in the neck. And so a few modifications, like luckily a lot of it was just the rig, adjusting the rig to be pointed downward and then kind of shrinking up a little bit of it to kind of suit our
needs.
Yes, our needs. So we have this lovely thing, and it's quite well rigged. The one of the main changes that I made is any rig basically has a structure. I'll try to. You can see Seth's there on screen, but a lot of these weren't named. They were all called joint.
I can probably turn off the mesh so we can see the. Oh god.
Yeah, there we are. So we've gone through and kind of renamed a handful of these just so we understood at least what each of the major groups of the rig were controlling. And there was a little bit of rebinding we had to do because the jaw was set up as all 4 of those little branches you see coming off of the head. It was originally, there's like a right teeth, left teeth, bottom, the tongue, and then the skin bottom were all separately moving. And so we connected them on one additional point so they could pivot and open the mouth and close it quickly because we've needed some custom animation for some of these, which has been a lot of fun. And I think probably the most animating back and forth between cinema and live action footage that I've done reliably in a while, which is pretty cool.
That's what's been so fun about this is like this is definitely an area. It's been a blind spot for me is actual 3D, and it's been an area that I've been not necessarily not at all confident in, and just doing this, working with this Raptor file and putting it into stuff has actually made me feel like much more confident taking on and trying stuff going forward. And it's forced me to learn a lot of, like I did a Spider-Man one and I wanted to put a mask on him, and let's see if I've got
this. Was so impressive. I was so proud of watching the process because you could have certainly photoshopped your way to something similar, but I love that one of the things about these being relatively easy at first, when it's just replacing them with a straightforward Raptor, it meant that we thought, well, it's funny if we take on ones where it would be more difficult than replacing just the Raptor, either, preserving the hair of the original actor or as one constraint, or possibly finding costumed versions. And you've really dove into the costumed Raptor a bit between Invisible Man and Spider-Man. And
I forgot I made this thing roar with a mask on. I never used it, but
gosh, look at that. Amazing cloth simulation properties. Tell me what's going on in that project.
I don't remember. No, I do. Actually, what really helped, I feel like it was EJ. It's almost always EJ who has a tutorial that comes in and helps us in the last second. Shout out to EJ. I've never said his name out loud. What's his last name?
Hasenfratz.
Yes, shout out to EJ. He's awesome. Has several millions of amazing tutorials to help you get started in a lot of these amazing things in cinema. What's going on here? Let me break it down. So let me turn off the subdivision surface. I'm going to go backwards here. I've got, where is it? It's basically a. Let me turn off. Can I turn off the tags? I can.
Probably.
Yeah. Let me do that.
There's probably an enable check somewhere. There's always a tag.
So it's a really crazy simulation going on that I wish it's a thing called Dresser, and it basically I created. I basically made a flat polygon. In the shape of the Raptor, duplicated it, and then I created bridges of polygons in between the two that to serve as the seam, and then in Dresser, I really think it's EJ who did this tutorial. I can't remember, but you can do you can set the seams and then set a relax mode and dress. It's this thing called Dress-O-Matic where it'll automatically. Let me see if maybe I can.
I know at least you had screen shared or like screen recorded your like inflation deflation.
Oh, did I? Oh, that was different. That was just a sphere. Yeah, let me open that up.
Oh wow,
that was actually just a sphere. And let's see. I've got like a GIF folder somewhere in here. I am gonna from here go into. So I think I'm gonna handle a still. And I don't want to, sorry. I want to make sure that I don't forget to talk about your eye rig that you did. I think we'll get to that.
I actually have it pulled up here. It's the most basic thing. We realized that there were, like you can see in this animation, just having any slight control of the eye that we could control in After Effects felt important to us. And what was nice is I'm doing this in the stupidest way possible, which is honestly, since the 3D model is being rendered through Element in After Effects, I just grabbed the full texture of the Raptor, took two little segments of kind of the eyelid looking skin, and then rendered out a little bit of animation that I could put, let's see, here we go. I've attached this slider to this PNG sequence, so it just is controlling the time remapping. So as I turn this between 0 and 100, it just collapses and opens up the texture on here, which is pretty great. So doing that and also having just cutting out a hole in the original texture so I could then have a duplicate of that texture behind it as a layer that we can kind of slide and just adjust slightly to move back and forth like this. Gives you basically live control over the eye as it's being rendered in here, just because it's a texture override, which is really great.
Yeah, here I can actually show... I can actually show it in action here. I've got this Muldoon one that I did from Jurassic, and it's got these
brilliant subtle eye animation in this one.
Oh, it's so fun. This essential properties tag down here, eye offset and eye close, so I can actually close the eye by turning that thing down. You can see, let me push in on the eye so we can see it. I can make him blink. I can dart his eye back and forth and change his eye line. It's really, really subtle and really, really helpful. Thing is, I've found this thing gets scarier when it gets more Muppety and scarier at the same time when when you have its eye aimed, but you lose the comedy. To me, what I found is the more the eye is looking at nothing, the funnier it becomes, because it's just an insane animal. Like that's where the comedy is right there. Like, I think, Jim Henson talked about, you always want the eyes to be slightly inward, almost cross-eyed. That gives it character and humanity. But this is like the opposite. This makes it more of an animal.
This is like that Werner Herzog, what was that bear, that grizzly man, where he's like, just like, I look at their eyes, I see no compassion behind them. Like there's nothing going on. Or easily there's a Jaws quote that is appropriate for this. I'm positive, but
nice.
They do become scarier and more menacing and insanely funnier.
Yes,
like particularly like your Matthew Lillard.
I'll open that up.
Replacement is a fantastic. Spoilers for Scream.
Yeah, I really thought about this.
By the way, sorry.
I know my son really wants to watch it soon. He's like almost old enough to watch it.
Well, what's great is that technically it doesn't spoil it because you don't know who we're revealing.
True.
Like it's a form of blurring out the reveal shots. So aside from the context clues, we have removed.
This one is my favorite one. When he screams, it's like he's not making any real eye contact. He kind of is right there, but then the recorder comes up, and what I forgot to do was put a recorder sound with it, with the scream. But I found that I was able to fit him in the headspace by just having him bend his neck back and tilt his head down, and it became a more insane scream anyway. This like bird squawk. Here we go. It's coming.
Gosh, this is incredible.
Element doesn't work on Metal yet, so I'm having to run After Effects and Rosetta. There we go. And the second he screams, I move the eye outward.
back to dead.
Yes. So it goes, he's like kind of alive and then blah. And it immediately is funnier.
I do believe that those subtle cues translate into the final product, which is really lovely.
So I want to talk about, we keep telling people these actually don't take us very long at all. So real quick, I do want to talk about, I finally am doing default new projects now in After Effects, which if you don't know, you can do by going to Preferences, New Project, and you can actually tell it a template to use as your new project. And so what I have set up is this one called Raptor Starter, as if it's a sourdough, but I have it with this one comp called Starter Raptor, and this is like the sweet spot Raptor that I don't know what I did. I don't know how I got it there, but the lighting on it is like near perfect for me and works 98% of the time. And so I just have it parented to a null object. It's an element and a spotlight that's providing, because I think it was from a West Side Story comp. And there was a red light in it that just
gives it some good dimension there.
Yeah. And I can change the color of that light. And what I usually do is I'll get to that. So this is my Starter Raptor, and it also comes with our watermarks that we put on everything. And I think it comes with I have to include the animated eye pre-comp. I don't actually have that in the template yet. All that said, I'm going to do a still, and I'd love for any recommendations from people.
Absolutely. If you're in the chat, feel free to let us know some of your favorite moments and or pick from, you've got some great stills pulled from Shot Deck, which
I've always wanted to do this one of Will Smith from iRobot in the shower, because it's I don't think there's any line to stop the Raptor and begin Will Smith, and I kind of like the challenge.
That is fun,
but I'd love any recommendations in the chat, folks. Michael's not with us, so he's not able to read it and tell us, you guys, but I am looking at it right now.
Save this show from being completely off the rails already. Let's see. I'm going to import one bout of inspiration I had the other day is I thought that it could be fun to re-envision the classic scene from the cinematic masterpiece Garden State, and replace one or the other with a Velociraptor from this scene, because I like the idea of replacing like very intimate cinematic moments.
Those are always the best.
Velociraptor in a place.
Yeah, when we're doing video, those tend to be the ones that play the best. In stills, I haven't found what the sweet spot is yet.
Well, it's funny because we've gone on a little bit of a journey from you obviously replace the main character in a classic shot or scene or something like that, so people will recognize the scene. And then as we got used to that, it started to be funnier to replace someone less important in the scene with a Velociraptor, because then you can still imagine the original performances and scene, but with complete disregard to the Velociraptor in the room, as it were.
I think one of my favorite ones is the least sexiest one we've ever done, which is the Social Network one. Let me find it. I think we posted it already, but it's funny to me because it's this wide shot of this hearing that Zuckerberg's at, and you zoom in, and Zuckerberg is the Raptor, but the rest of the room, it's the facial expressions on the guys around him, and just the mundanity of the whole thing.
It's fantastic.
That's the stuff that I think is the absolute funniest. That and when they talk, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, the moment they talk is always phenomenal. So another not so secret thing about the way these work is half the time, if we're doing a head replacement, the very first stage is probably erasing the head, because a raptor head is like, it's generally pretty big and occupies a lot of the same screen space, but it has a skinnier neck, and also when looking straight on is slimmer than a human head.
It's been really hard, yeah.
And we try, I mean, there's a weird sweet spot, because you can, like, arguably the raptor head could be exactly as wide as a human head, but it causes complications. It's also much longer. So compositionally, if you're arranging a raptor head to be aligned with a human head, you'll find that they go much further out of frame than the original framing intended. So here's a good example, just if I switch back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see to make the raptor sit in the right spot, it looked bizarre to have the raptor head. I could probably do an example. I'll grab a screenshot right there. And if technically we're going off of the actual framing of the original, the head is much further back. Let's see, where's my raptor group? So it's probably a lot smaller, maybe not that much smaller. So yeah, as Seth was saying before, we just have these in Element connected to a null controller, and you could sort of try to,
I've gotten to where I'm not animating anymore, and after in Element, I'm bringing it in Element and placing it, but I'm a big boy now. All my animation's happening in Cinema.
I love that.
But what you were talking about with the perspective, I did this one from Psycho, and it doesn't make sense when you look at it. Like, the face is coming out the side of the head, but I posted anyway because who cares? But like, when you align it the way that it's supposed to be, it's nothing. It's just like a slightly bulgy head, and it doesn't read as a raptor.
Yeah, there is surprisingly an artistic science to it all, is what we're saying.
Exactly.
So yeah, Sunny Naguri was asking if we're using content-aware fill, and content-aware fill is definitely working over time on a lot of these comps.
For me, way more in Photoshop than in After Effects, which the Photoshop content-aware fill is like ridiculous. Well, here, I'm sorry, keep interrupting you.
We should get into shots and then do them and explain as we go.
So some really funny recommendations from the chat. Back to the Future. I've done a Back to the Future Part 2. I could find one from 1. Nick Smith, this one made me laugh. Inside the Raptors studio with James Lipton. I kind of want to find that.
Gosh, so is it that James Lipton asks a sincere question?
I think it's inside the Raptors studio.
Your favorite sound?
It's his studio.
And then it cuts to
right. Is it just
inside the Raptors studio?
Because then isn't it just okay? So is he interviewing Raptors? That's the question you're asking. Is he interviewing Raptors and having to deal with it, or is he the Raptor and every actor is the one having to deal with it?
It feels like, in that case, it's funny if you cut in on some actor, like Michael Fassbender giving a sincere answer to something, and then cutting wide to
just screaming
to a raptor staring at him,
doing those like quick bird movements, and then screaming, and papers ideally flying into the air.
I love it.
I love that. Oh man.
And one thing that we've noticed is like there are several versions of replacing a raptor. It gets fun to pick one, because then you get the comedy out of the other actors playing off of them. So like this Garden State scene, for example, I can imagine being very funny both ways. Like, one is that it is this calm velociraptor like putting on headphones, and then I imagine kind of going into frightened bird mode, looking back and forth as this sound is being pumped into his ears by this weird device. And Natalie Portman is just, perfectly content with this. But there's also a funny version where Natalie Portman is a velociraptor who aggressively puts headphones on Zach Braff, who has to stare at this velociraptor inching closer and closer, like supervising him listening to like raptor screams over the headphones or something like that. But a not so subtle reason I make the choice sometimes is because Natalie Portman has hair, and a lot of the time our female characters have like beautiful hair that's interacting with their shoulders and become a much more difficult process to erase. And so to replace Natalie Portman with a Raptor, you have to either embrace trying to preserve her original hair, which means your tracking on the Raptor head becomes much more challenging, or erasing her hair on her shoulders, which becomes its own nightmare. So we've favored shorter-haired characters, as it were, throughout all of this. Yeah, no specific bend as to why, other than it's easier for Rotobrush and content-aware fill.
I really want to do this Raptor Studio one, but I don't know if I want to do it first on the show. I think I'm going to do a still first. I'm going to come back to this because this is going to require some very clever editing.
Absolutely. That sounds good. So you work on, so is there a still that you have? I mean, you mentioned Will Smith
Mikey
from
Gaines said
iRobot.
Back to the Future. He also said the Terminator, the T2 scene with the milk carton.
Oh, the milk carton scene. That's pretty great. Let's see. Changing Sam. I've wanted also to do the scene in the plane scene from Jurassic Park 3 somehow. I don't know what the funniest version is. If it is, it's when the Velociraptor says Alan. If it's funny to replace Sam Neill as a raptor wearing the hat and slowly waking up and looking over
and seeing,
then seeing a human saying the word Ellen.
I feel like I already did that with Muldoon in the
That's true.
Clever Girl, which took a stupid amount of time to do. To put the human into the scene was the hardest part of that one.
I can't remember what moment you pulled that from, because that Muldoon moment has such a perfect intensity for that moment of approaching through the leads.
Ernest Scared Stupid. I don't know why I did that one. It just popped in my head. Here it is right here. It's literally from right earlier in the scene. It's when he's pulling the gun. He's like, that gun unfolds like 8 times, as he's and it's one of those, like the 7th time when he's 7th unfold. And, he just looks so intense. I even kept the camera move that's like on the shot and just scaled him up a little bit to come up. But I had to rebuild all that forest. Like that was no way I could content aware fill out the Raptor back there. So that's a little bit of leaves from the original scene to give it some chaos. But then the rest are like still images from Unsplash that I cut out in Photoshop and then did some puppet wiggle magic to make. Like that one is from Unsplash. And it's wiggling around. It's so stupid, but I could sit and watch it. And honestly, I could watch an entire movie, entire version of Jurassic Park with the dinosaurs and humans swapped. I think it's that, or just an adventure movie starring a Velociraptor at the front. Like this image of a Velociraptor in safari, like gear holding a rifle, is maybe the most exciting thing I've seen in cinema in years. But
it is phenomenal. And I feel like we should be able to get our hands on the rights for some, MST3K era movie that no one has really held on to.
And you redo the whole movie. You just and you want it to be a character who is like misunderstood by everyone around them. Like that's the central main character. I feel like it would, because That's
these are a lot of great suggestions in the chat, and I have a feeling if we get to them during the show, that will be fun, and if we don't, they will easily go into our
Tommy Boy,
our daily Raptors.
If Tommy Boy is on Shot Deck, incredible. It's not. All right. Just because it's a simple one, I kind of want to grab that Tommy Boy clip because of all movies.
That's a great idea. The gas station scene, yeah.
I think I might do Back to the Future, actually, because it's on Shot Deck, and I'll come back. So that was good. Mike Gaines recommended that one. We should have Mike Gaines on the show, to be honest.
Yeah, Mike.
He's worked on all these TV shows and movies and things, and I just
All
want to
right,
ask
so
things.
I'm just going to go for it with this Garden State one and show everyone a little bit of some of the processes I use sometimes. So I think that one of the first weird choices, if you're going with a video scene from something, is you probably re-edit the scene a little bit to be kind of shorter and to be a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to right-click and say Scene Edit Detection, which has now made it into standard After Effects. And I'm going to split the layer at each scene edit. And you can check this Create Pre-Comps button if you like. I almost should, because I probably will. But I don't really need a pre-comp for every shot. I just need it for these for the close-ups that I want of Zach, who I've chosen to replace with a Raptor because he has less hair, to be honest.
This one is kind of funny because it's always funny to have a reaction shot in the frame, and I feel like if I replace Biff's head with a Raptor, and you have Marty's reaction to it, could work.
That's a pretty good moment.
Just because it's simple, I'll do this one. Let me save it to our Raptor database. BTTF, Biff. Okay, so first thing I do is Man, or is that iconic enough? This whole thing is going to be me picking a still. I think I should replace Doc.
Just go for it.
Because then I can do some.
What the process is.
Because then I can do some hair. I can keep Doc's hair if I want to as well. So, BTTF Doc. So let's start with that one because that one's going to be really fun. I actually then will start off in Photoshop. So let me open that up real quick. Open up.
Lovely. In the meantime, I'm just taking this first shot. I think this first shot will be my test to see if I can preserve the headphones from the original footage for this moment, or if that will be too difficult to work with, and I'll switch to adding some CG headphones to the Raptor so I don't have to deal with the tracking.
Nice.
So when I pre-compose my scene edit detection version, you can say move all attributes to a new composition, and then you can check this box that says adjust composition duration to the time span for selected layers, which is very helpful for being able to have one pre-comp that is specifically just this shot from start to finish, but it'll also be nested within the overall scene, which is a lot of fun. So while you get Photoshop set up, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try using the Motion Bro face tools to create a 3D null out of Zach's face. And all I've got to do for that is put a little mask around his face like that. I'll switch the mask mode to none. And then in the tracker, I will select face tracking detailed features. And I'm just going to play that through and let this sort of try to extract his head from here.
Nice.
I'll let that run in the background.
Darren Frankowitz recommended Wayne's
Photoshop
World.
Open there.
So Darren Frankowitz recommended Wayne's World, so now I couldn't help but look for Wayne's World stuff. Are you at a moment where I can real quick walk through what I'm going to do here in Photoshop?
Go for it.
So I've got the background here. What first I'm going to do is I need to isolate my foreground. Anything that I need isolated as its own layer. I'm going to start by using what's this thing called? The quick selection tool. Let me turn up the size of it. I'm going to select his jacket and the shirt there, and that's probably all I need. And then I right click, go to select and mask, and then these settings. Whoops, I have an intro for everything I do in Photoshop. I clicked OBS by accident. So in these controls in Photoshop, I'll turn up radius, smart radius. Let me go to on black. And this just makes my edges like a little more organic and dirty in a good way. I'll do layer via copy. Let's call that close. And then I'm going to isolate the hair too, just in case I want it. I'll do that if I can tell, like, the Raptor could fit nicely into the hair. Is a sentence I say regularly now.
Regularly.
And once I isolate these things, then I'm going to... let me undo the face. That's dirty enough and should work. I will select and mask. Oh, I got an ear there. Hang on. Get out of here, ear. And radius. Get some of that face out of there. I don't know if I'll use that, but it's good to have. Layer via copy. Hair. And then the fun part, I'm going to duplicate the background. I always want to save a clean version of the background. I'm going to erase dock. I can either erase dock completely, or I can just, and it works differently every time. I will start by just erasing his head and leaving his body. And sometimes it actually gives me a nice, like inside of his clothes kind of layer, like enough to sell when I need that, because if the Raptor's neck isn't going to be wide enough. But a lot of times I will just erase the entire character just to give me a clean background plate. But when I select that area, I'll go to Edit, Content Aware Fill. Again, we're in Photoshop. And it's often pretty great right off the bat. But I think I'm going to click around here by clicking Mirror. And that right there, I mean, dude, he's gone. Like, that's kind of exactly what I'm greedy, though. So I'm going to turn color adaptation up to high and see if I can get it. Nope, it was good. I got greedy. I'll click OK. Yeah. And then it created this fill layer above this background duplicate. I'll select the fill layer while it's above the background duplicate. Command E, and it merges it down, and I'll rename that new layer Clean. So now I have clothes, hair, clean, and background. And those are the layers that I need to be able to go into After Effects now. So I'll save this as a Photoshop file, and I'll move into... Actually, I'll probably move into Cinema 4D next. So what are you up to?
So I went ahead and finished the face tracking. There were a couple of moments where... the face gets obscured by the headphones coming over them or whatever. And normally this could easily be something that if you were filming, you'd be upset that you're giving your VFX artist bad data. But also, it's wonderful for the interactivity. So I'm actually excited that there have to be moments where the face is getting, obscured by the hands putting the headphones on, etc. So what I did for those moments is, if I reveal all of my tracked face points, I went down and found wherever the obscuration was about to happen and just deleted all of the poorly tracked keyframes in between, which is a little bit weird, but it just gives me a blank canvas in between here and there, as opposed to all of the face points getting smudged into some weird shape. So now that I have all of that, one of the next steps you can do, and this is quite lovely, is you find a frame where your subject is doing a pretty neutral pose, like their eyes are open, they're not doing too much, and Zach is doing that through this entire film. So you can grab any frame, honestly, and when you're down in your mask tracking, you can click Set Rest Pose. I probably have it a little bit off screen. So it's down in the face tracker corner here, Set Rest Pose. And then below that, there is an Extract and Copy Face Measurements. And this basically just generates a whole lot of data for you within After Effects on this layer. So, for example, if I were to go to my layer and press U to reveal all of my keyframes, I now have a ton of data, both positions of all of the pieces of the face and these face measurement dots, which basically will say from your rest pose, whatever you picked as that frame, and I actually don't remember what frame I picked as my rest pose, somewhere over here. Right here, I can tell. I'll put a marker there because actually, again, just like last time, I've got to quickly switch to my preferences, 3D, and uncheck 1, 2, 3 for navigation. I uncheck this every time I open After Effects. Don't know why it's not sticking. But I could see that the face measurements were at 0, 0, 0 on this frame, and his face is pretty neutral. So that must have been where I grabbed it. So I'll put a little marker there just so I remember. But now that I have all this data, I'm using an extension called I think the extension wrapper is called Motion Bro, and the specific thing that I bought for this was called Face Tools. And what it'll do is it'll take all that data and basically extract and create a 3D null that is trying to use the data from your face track to create a 3D positional and directional null that goes with the head, which is pretty cool. And the other way that I would have done this, say I didn't have this Motion Bro plugin, is I would have enabled the mask here and switched it to an additive mask. So I have the face in view like that. You could definitely turn up the extension a little bit to something just like this or so. And then if you, depending on their facial expressions, this is a pretty good one because his face is very, very static the whole time. You could run the 3D camera tracker on a pre-comp of this and often be able to get a 3D track of the face where it's sort of a reversed situation where it's pretending that his face is a landscape and the camera is moving and orbiting around him in 3D space. So if you were to add anything to the scene, it's like a stabilized 3D object the camera is moving around to match the movements of his face. I don't know if I explained that well, but
I think it worked.
So in any case, I cheated, and I have this great Null Extractor, which is it definitely works well for this part of the scene, and you can sort of see it's a little bit jumpy here and there, but I can manually adjust that afterward. This is a fairly clever plugin where all of the positions and rotations are tied to expressions based on the delta difference in a handful of the data points that we extracted from After Effects already here. But I actually want these to be baked, and so I can modify them myself. So I'm actually going to reveal the position and orientation of this little null shape layer. And I'm going to right-click and say Keyframe Assistant, convert expressions to keyframes. And I'm doing that for the position and the also the orientation. I'm not sure if I need to do it for the Z rotation or not. It looks like not. It's just stuck at 0 the whole time. So now that I've done that, I have a real path that I can grab and edit. It's disconnected from the face track, but because I'm going to move into Raptor territory in a moment, that works for me.
Amazing. Well, I placed my Raptor. I modeled it in the cinema. Sorry, I got impatient and I did that while you were doing that. So
that's perfect.
I went into cinema. I modeled it's a still, so I just I posed the Raptor the way I wanted, and I decided, you know what? This is one of those where his eye line was going to be weird if I'm trying to match Doc. We're not going to see that Raptor's eyes. They're going to be in both sides of his face. It's not an angle we'll see his eyes. So in that moment, I tend to choose like comedy or character over like accuracy or whatever the word would be here. So I decided instead the Raptor's just going to be like screaming out into. Usually that means I just make the Raptor like acting like an animal, like almost like distracted and screaming out into nothing.
Like, why did we expect more of it?
Exactly.
There's a Raptor in a very frightening situation.
And what I did was I copied from my starter Raptor here and pasted here into this doc. The solid my element design didn't properly line up, so I went to layer solid settings and clicked make comp size and then just reset the transform settings. It's still parented to this group null, so I'm still able to move the null around and place the Raptor. I just noticed my foreground layer is interesting. So I'm going to need to Raptor's poking through. So I'm just going to real quick move that clean layer up here and just patch that spot.
Beautiful. In the meantime, I am just going to be doing some really straightforward rotobrush. I am rotobrushing out the entirety of Zach's character here, because what's interesting is if you try to rotobrush out just the face, for example, and then run content-aware fill, it's using all of the pixels around it to try to determine those motion vectors. And so you'll get these weird pixels that are dragged around with the head movement, with the headphone movement, and everything else. And so it is better for content-aware fill to generate a clean plate where it's ignoring a lot of the motion data from your scene and instead favoring the background only as its pixels, where it determines, oh, the background is holding relatively still, so my content-aware fill should be relatively still.
Nice. I am gonna, so the lighting on this Raptor, again, it's this red light. Funny enough, there's this red glow on Marty's face that's coming from, I guess they were simulating the fire. Like, I guess they're using that as like, I don't know why that's red. I think it's the fire on the ground that they're using to motivate that, or it could just be the light bouncing off of his vest. But the thing is, for some reason, this red always does look good. I could change the color of it. I use this, sorry, let me rephrase. I use this as like a backlight or even sometimes a reverse key. I'll use this this spotlight that I bring with it. I never have it on the camera side of the Raptor. You always want it on, as we all learned in film school, I want it to be opposite the camera side of the Raptor, so that it's creating these like this rim light around the sides and helping like pop him off the background and just create a little more dimension on him. I could change the color. I'm just going to click one of these white levels here. That does work. I also want to go in and I'm going to mess with the actual lighting and element here. And there's two things I have set up. I've got the physical environment that's lighting it partially, and I can rotate that. Ooh, that's nice. Look at that. Even though sometimes it doesn't match the lighting of the original, but it does make it look more interesting and real. And I tend to just go with what my eye tells me looks good. And that,
I don't remember who had explained that the difference between high budget and low budget things is like, no matter if you're shooting the exact same thing, it's just you had more lights. And so like if you're shooting a diner scene in an indie film, you're using that like verite, like it just like you might throw a bounce card in there and like brighten up your subject or something. But if you're like Janusz Kaminski filming a Broadway street in, you know, a Spielberg movie, you've got 40 lights and an entire team moving in sync with your actor.
Gosh, so true.
To give them beautiful highlights and rims and popping the glasses or the reflection on their clothing or something. It just gives, it's that hyper real number of lights in a situation that make it feel really cinematic.
So here's the fun of it now. I've got this. This is lined up well enough for me for our Twitter account. A couple things I'll do. I'll zoom in and look and see how grainy stuff is. And I'm going to apply noise over the top of everything, but there's a couple things I can do to make the Raptor blend in a little better. Well, one, his neck is popping out. I need to actually move that a little more right there. There's a couple things I can do to match grain. One, a real quick one, is noise HLS, or if it's in motion, noise HLS auto. I'll turn up the lightness a lot of times to like 3 or 4, and let's see if we can even see. It's going to create noise on the luminance, and I find a lot of times that helps it blend with the grain or noise of the rest of the image just a little bit. I don't need to do the other thing I like to do that I don't really need to do on this shot necessarily is my buddy Joey Chickling taught me this, is you apply a fast blur with a really, really small amount of blur. And this really helps if you're trying to comp something into like VHS or really grainy, like not film, like, something like video or something. And then you sharpen it. So you blur it and then you sharpen it and you kind of repeat that cycle over and over. And it does create a little bit. This one actually did help it a little bit.
Especially like it's mimicking, if you're looking at film, you're mimicking the way that, all those little, like the crystals like on the celluloid are actually like picking up hints of light and, doing a slight halation effect of everything that is hitting it. And so instead of having, sharp, crisp CG rendered edges, you need some of the light bleed to be clearly affecting the pixels and, pixels or, grain around it.
Yeah. Now for the magic. Background, clean, element. So I'm going to select my background layer, my clean layer, my element, this is my clean patch. I don't want too many layers here. I'm going to pre-comp. This is my patch that this right here, I'm going to pre-comp as a close pre-comp. Okay, so background, clean, element, close. I didn't really use the hair, so I won't bring that in, but maybe I'll bring that in a second. I'm going to go to Effect, RG, VFX, Super Comp, and that will immediately put them all into Super Comp, which I'm going to bust out the panel here.
Absolutely. And Super Comp, you've all been with us before, but Super Comp is our amazing, like, standalone, or what would you call it? Like it removes After Effects from the compositing situation by bringing all of the layers that you've created in After Effects and respecting their positions and their keyframing and everything, but putting them into a more robust compositing environment where they can all react to each other and are aware of each other, as opposed to the blind system of After Effects layers that don't know what's going on.
I would even argue with you that against the wordage of removes After Effects. What it does is it communicates back and forth with After Effects, but it has the final say in the order at which it's going to process your layers and the way in which those layers are going to interact visually on screen.
Ooh, I like that.
So just again, a reminder, like the way Super Comp, what's great is if I apply an effect to the bottom, like it communicates with layers upwards in a way After Effects doesn't. So like if I apply a light wrap to my Raptor, it's going to look at every layer below it. If I apply an optical glow to one of the lower layers, it's going to wrap that glow around all the foreground layers really organically and nice. So what it also has is this really great color matching stuff. So I'm going to apply, I've got this weird thing happening when I'm doing OBS. There we go. I'm going to first go to my Raptor. I'm going to apply color correction. And then I'm going to just temporarily, this is why I brought my background in and not just my clean plate. I'm going to turn off the clean plate in Super Comp, or I'm going to hide it. That is funny seeing the hair. I may need to bring the hair back in. But so I'm looking at Doc underneath, and I'm going to go to my color correction on my Raptor, and I'm going to click this match back. Oh, you can't see it. It's not on screen. Sorry. And I'm going to click this match background button.
My favorite button in the world.
And let's see what all it did. So if I turn off color correction, turn back on, it's very subtle, but it's matching the black and white levels of what's right behind it. So not super drastic there, and that's okay. That means I actually got my lighting matched pretty nicely. Then I'm going to add diffusion. I can turn my clean layer back on now because I just wanted to sample the colors of Doc's face for that color correction, for that auto color correction. I'm going to reverse light wrap. Sometimes I'll do a haze, but I think we're close enough to where I don't need a haze. One thing I do think I might be able to get away with is some volume fog. And this is a thing that like you can overuse very quickly. And it can kind of create a trap code shine look. What I found is it's really nice for actually wrapping haze and light around, like to make stuff like kind of bloom around the edges of a layer. Man, it's so subtle in this. If I turn it up way high, let's see if you can see what it's doing. Oh, it's just wrapping that darkness in this case around it. There's no highlights back here to really get anything out of this, so I'm not really sure I need it, to be honest.
May not.
So I'm going to delete it from... What did I just delete?
everything.
Oh my God, I did.
So in the okay, you figure out what happened there.
Wow.
I am going to.
It's never happened.
I've brought in this version of the Velociraptor that I've modified slightly, and you can see it's creepy because this is specifically my face replace Raptor. It doesn't have the rest of the back of the head. It doesn't have a neck. It's just a face replacement. And I don't know if this is what I'm going to use, but it'll be my starter, at least, for this project. So if I'd created this for my cat's moment. And looking at this, I clearly do want more of the head. I'll want a neck and stuff, so this may not be ideal. But the idea of this face replacement Raptor was that if you created a null for it, you could basically do that really cool trick of holding down Shift when you parent this to my 3D tracked piece right here. So if I hold down Shift and parent it, it will move it to be in alignment and parented to this 3D tracked bit. So like I said, this is from Cats, the something released the other day. So it's not going to be accurate for this, but you can just see the beginning of how the 3D tracking is trying to work with the footage and place this Raptor in the scene where he's looking.
So that's never happened before. Deleting everything from SuperComp all of a sudden. I deleted the SuperComp effect. I tried to do it, but I really quick just recreated that. Just so you know, literally that's the first time it's happened to me. I think JC Tecklenburg said that's happened to him a lot before. I think it's just a matter of double check what you have selected before you click delete. That's really a good rule for anything.
It is, yeah. And especially like undo containers in programs are trying to do a lot of like memorizing what you're doing or what you've just done and what is selected when you press any keystroke. And so sometimes you reach an unundoable situation.
Yeah. So SuperComp does have grain built into it. I can go in and turn up. And the thing is, like, grain is something I tend to overdo like crazy. And SuperComp knows that. And I feel like it has very subtle settings for its grain, enough to where, like, I've almost never been able to overdo grain in SuperComp to the point to where I'm wondering, is it even on? Stu, you're in the chat. You can tell me what the normal default settings should probably be. I think, I can click this guy and turn off everything. So by the way, I picked the most subtle, this is like the most subtle comp that you've could have done in SuperComp here. So this is with SuperComp off. That's what it looked like. This is with it on. So let me zoom in on the Raptor and see if you can notice.
I mean, this is a very theatrical lighting moment as opposed to.
Oh yeah, like when we drop something.
I mean, it's like over black with a bunch of different lights hitting them. So there's no background for it to interact with or anything like that. It's not a scene that has a lot of data to inform what you've got to do there.
But that's done. So now I have a shot. So then I'm just going to drop my watermark on. It's about 16 by 9 or whatever. Let's see, watermarks. Dropped it on top. And boom. We done. We did Back to the Future. Or this shot from Back to the Future. I could try and bring the hair back in, but I think I want to go to another shot and try to do another one. Something a little more...
That is beautiful. You're done with a whole shot. I've gotten distracted over here. I'm trying to redo our default Raptor. I've noticed one of the things I have to do every time that I bring it in is I'm deleting that it's subtly looking to the left and stuff. I think it was the default pose of the Raptor when it came in. And so I'm overwriting our default head.
That's fine.
Cinema file, so it's just straight,
I always open it and save as, except one time I forgot to save as, and I think that's when I started putting a Spider-Man mask on it or something, or I did something and I had to like undo like crazy. So I don't know if I want to jump over to James Lipton just yet. I kind of want to do one more still, and one that's a little more show-offy.
I think that's a great idea. See, you're being productive. I'm getting caught in the weeds.
Well, but this shows you what
in the tall grass.
I think I found what I'd like to do. What if I did this vertigo shot? This could be fun. Do you think that's interactive enough?
It's pretty good. I mean, I think you could knock that one out in another shot.
Absolutely.
Now, which is great.
There's not a lot of
I mean,
comedy
it shows.
in the Vertigo one.
Yeah,
I'm
what's
just trying
fun
to show,
is that sometimes we get to. Like if we're doing these practically, I think it's been daily since what's it called, West Side Raptors day that we've had.
We've done one or two a day since then, at least. I mean, at least one a day, if not two or three some days. But it shows you how quickly I did that. Like, I always think this is from Sneakers, but it's from Blade Runner. It's the same tunnel, right? I'm pretty sure it's the same tunnel Redford gets shot in. Or not Redford, but the Russian guy.
Yeah, it's the tunnel from the 110 to the 5, I think.
Oh, is it Toontown Tunnel? I don't think so. That's the...
No, not the Echo Park one. I think this is from... unless this is the a downtown tunnel, but I thought that this was the... though I don't know if they could have shut that down, to be honest. I always thought this was the tunnel from when you're on the 110 and have to exit to the 5 North.
I've already forgotten.
Anyway, someone will know.
Here's one from Hell or High Water. I need to look for one that's got some comedy to it, probably. Let's see.
Just laughing at how the way this comes in without me doing any modification yet. I just realized that one of the problems with my face tracking model is that I've got it disregards the neck, and the neck is visible in this shot, and so it would require some more replacing. And so I don't know if I can actually use the face tracking data. I might need to disregard that and just go with kind of hand animating and guessing. So you know what? I'm gonna call it on this one. I want to do this later, but it's gonna be too hard. I give up, everyone.
Stu just educated me on the grain, by the way. There's a master grain control in Super Comp that governs all the grain for the comp. So you set the Raptors grain to 100% and then dial in the comp grain in the Super Comp settings, sliders in the upper right corner. So boom. Gives you control over grain per layer and also over the whole comp. So I hadn't thought to put the Raptor up to 100. That just sounded like like I was breaking the law to turn something that said grain up to 100. But it's something you always want to do, but you're like, I'm going to get arrested, right? Like, this isn't right. So very nice. Now I know how to properly use Super Comp's grain.
Amazing. And I could probably I could stick with just doing a still from this moment, which I didn't intend to be this screaming raptor, but it is kind of funny to see a screaming raptor in this as it puts on the headphones. Maybe I'll finish a still frame for everyone.
I'm gonna do. Let's see.
I didn't use my pre-built sweet spot Raptor, so I'm quickly re-enabling some shadows and ambient occlusion.
You have a starter Raptor?
I do have a starter Raptor as well, but I'm just recreating it quickly, which is mostly just turning up some ambient occlusion and getting the shadows in there. And then if I have, one light, I can overdo it for a second so I can make sure the directionality of it is similar to that from the show. So
this shot from the master could be funny if I replaced Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh my gosh.
Something about a raptor in tight, close quarters. Let me check the chat. Anybody have any Raptor at 100?
The Wrath of Khan moment.
Oh, crap. Of course.
Pretty good.
What is wrong with me? Okay. Wrath of Khan. Tell me they have that moment. Okay. Wait, do I already have this? The Wrath. I don't. I thought I did. Oh, wait, maybe I do. Star Trek, The Wrath. No, I have. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. I just haven't done it in Photoshop yet. So let's. It's also really fun to see the PSDs once you erase their faces. There's all these invisible man comps. Oh my gosh, that looks so funny, Hosh.
It's ridiculous. All right, I'm just trying to get this push this light into an overhead situation, but I don't know why I'm struggling with. Okay, I just want its position to be higher. I want its position to be back in Z space, and then I want its point of interest to be pointing down more. And now I want it forward a little bit more. And I have this dramatically set up just so I can make sure the directionality is correct first. Let's hide. So what is he? He's mostly in shadow. I was looking at his hand for a cue, but he's kind of between a couple of light sources. And not that you have to match them precisely as Seth just demonstrated, but I'll have this light that is matching kind of that, and then I'll turn up its shadow diffusion so I'm not getting those really harsh shadows. And then I'll duplicate the whole light and push one back here to kind of to represent this light from the back of the room and the windows and stuff over there, because he's a little bit in shadow, actually. So let's open up this spotlight a little bit. Also, the way you light a raptor's face and get that amazing detail on their expression and everything is always really unique to each shot, I've found.
I kind of want to do Khan more than Kirk, partly because they're doing with Ricardo Montalban a little bit like what we're doing with our Raptors, where we're cutting them off, like cutting off his actual head behind a collar of some sort and transitioning back into another chest that isn't his.
It is really nice to have a stupid transition point between Raptor and human head.
So this one's straight on, though. I feel like this one is a little more dynamic. All right. So the question is to do Kirk or to do... I got to do Kirk. I'll do Kirk first, and if I got time, I'll come back to Khan.
All right. It sounds good. I'm just going to finish this very absurd still.
Oh, Nick Smith, I did a 2001 A Space Odyssey one. I, for the longest time, was really obsessed with wanting to cram a Raptor into a space helmet. And I did it with this one, but it was kind of a cheat. I really wanted to do a shot from Apollo 13. I really wanted to cram the Raptor into one of these helmets. So it's just like face pressed against glass. And I need to do that when we have like someone from the Maxon training team or somebody on, because I tried a bunch of different things to try and get like the face deformed up against the glass, and I couldn't figure it out. And as I say this, I'm hoping that Darren or Noseman or somebody are just quickly packaging up a Cinema 4D file for me, or a tutorial or a link. But I would love to at some point put a Raptor right here in place of Paxton, with just as deformed against the glass as possible. I ended up doing a Apollo 13 one, though, that I was pretty proud of.
I liked it. It was subtle. Right now, audience, I'm trying to decide between going with a more faithful representation of a Raptor sincerely listening to this music, or going with the open mouth, because I don't want to always go for the lowbrow version of these. Like, we want to preserve, some hint of what existed in the performances, but you let me know whether I should be comping the Scream version of this or the non-Screamed version of this.
Also, I just realized I meant to make this my desktop wallpaper, or my iPhone wallpaper. Which
I never want to. I don't want to overdo the Scream. Yeah, I don't want to overdo using the Scream as the punchline, because I don't want it to be that I'm always using a screaming Raptor because it's funnier, but also it is. So
it is almost always. Can I see him again?
Some crappy roto right here, just so I can see where the headphones fit into the situation. So we've got, we could kind of faithfully match the idea of it kind of sincerely listening and putting the headphones on like this, or you have, whoops. God, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I actually think closed mouth. I feel like in no teeth. That to me, to me the two degrees of comedy are no teeth or.
It's true, because there's default, like it's like a puppy, like looking around, but there's also this where it's thinking.
Emotionless. That tells me that it's thinking. It's like trying to process what's going on, and it is absolutely it still has no idea. Like it's not getting there. I like how I'm implying that this Raptors weren't incredibly intelligent.
They are more alive to us than our friends and family, clearly.
Oh man.
I'm going to replace this model with our default head that we just fixed up, because it's just a perfectly still thing. Oh, whoops. I got to let me pick one that I've already rendered out here, or I've already baked. So let's grab the head fixed version. Let's call it that. Let's put it. Oh, I didn't press replace. Whatever. So here's our beautiful Raptor. Let's say okay. Let's bring it in. I've got to do some repositioning now, but no matter. I'll turn it off from being parented to that original layer. I could have done this so much more quickly, but we did get to go through that face tracking tip for no good reason.
Honestly, like the reason I'm doing stills on the show is because when I do video, those are the ones that actually take me a good while for obvious reasons. But like these stills, I can spit like, if I was just doing Raptors, I could spit out like 5 or 6 stills in a day. But I'm not just doing Raptors during a day, sadly enough.
I'm trying to remember, was it for 1917?
Oh, you did 1917. I forgot.
What is that? That was under intensity build is what I called that.
Oh, that was for that? I've used that occasionally.
It's a good one where it has a Raptor being kind of completely idle and then slowly transitioning to a screaming, scared Raptor. So let me find here's a mouth closed moment that I can utilize for here. Yeah.
Oh, I also have one in there. If you need it, called Dumb Smile. There's an OBJ of it too. It's called Dumb Smile, or Smile Dumb or something. If you want as well, that's where his mouth is completely closed.
I kind of like this expression.
That's good. It's a little bit of joy.
Just a little bit of like front teeth going on.
Yeah, he's actually into it. He likes the shins.
Does. Oh, the shins.
Ooh.
All right.
I'm going to do the whole song.
That's our version, so we don't... Yeah, so there's no copyright strike, but...
That gets a copyright strike on like a Wayne Newton song somehow.
All right, so let's erase some of this original Zach Braff face right there. Modify, subtract. So I think what I'm going to be doing now is... Now I'm doing my photoshopping in After Effects Classic. Okay, there we go. This is ridiculous. But I'm erasing... I didn't freeze my roto brush. So it's recalculating it right now for me. This would probably be a good jumping off point to go into Photoshop instead of finishing this in After Effects, but I often finish in After Effects.
I do everything in After. It's the, like, I'm in Photoshop right now. I'll do content aware fill, and I'll do like, if it's a still or a still image that I'm going to manipulate, I'll do all my like cutting out or content aware fill, like if I can in Photoshop. But compositing, After Effects is still the interface that I know.
Same here. Like I'm creating a dumb like black solid and just throwing it behind the hand here and feathering it out like this for the contact shadow from the headphones instead of, doing anything more complicated.
I think it works.
So that kind of works there. And then let me see. How should I fix this little bit right here? Okay, this is garbage work. I'm just adding a solid that I color sampled from that little spot where it didn't erase well enough. Then I'm going to feather this out and shove it in front of that poorly. Oh gosh, this is so stupid.
It's going to work just fine. It looks great.
See, no one will ever know.
Except everyone who watched.
What's that? Yeah, no one's going to know. And then I could do a classic. I didn't realize this whole thing was not full HD, which is kind of easier on the computer, I'm sure. So add a little solid with a subtract rectangle mask that I can just Alt or Control Alt scale down to right there. And now look at cinema. All right, what do I want to darken his neck a little bit, so I'm going to grab this spotlight and shift it up. I think it's the thing that's, let's see, oh no.
I've got my invisible Kirk here.
That's fantastic. Let's see, what have we got here? I'm just checking on our chat here.
Starter Raptor.
What I should probably do is I should make a duplicate of the original footage, put it on top, and just take a peek at what was happening there. Oh yeah, so he's got the pullover hoodie. It's not a...
Oh, I thought it was it's a zip up all the way to the top.
Or it is a zip up. Oh yeah, there we go. It's
I watched
all the
that
way
movie
up.
too many times when it came out.
No, it was like the enjoyable as a way to grieve every film student who was who had written this exact same movie.
Oh man. And then breeded a whole bunch.
Oh my gosh. All right, there we go. There's a little bit of that, and now we just need some. Now I've got to break this down into pieces that I can super comp together. So what have I got here? That's my shadow. That's my Raptor.
Open the doors, and there's all the people.
Boom. Garden State. Let's just call this. I'm just going to start breaking this into layers. All right. Here are the layers we're going to have. We're going to have one layer that is just the Raptor, and we're going to have one layer that is just the foregroundy stuff. So the hand there, the hoodie there, and that works for that. And then the background layer, which will be... What I'm doing right now is I'm making little pre-comps that'll work nicely together in Super Comp. So we've got our full background, maybe this amount of him, I can't remember.
Darren,
let's put these three layers together.
Darren, stop downloading Blue. I'm going to give you our default Raptor.
Oh, there we go.
Just saw your comment. Sorry, Hash. Keep going.
Oh, perfect. And I don't remember if we can how redistributable he is.
Oh,
or
like
she is
and stuff. Or what do you mean? Oh,
or just for throwing out our version.
Oh, I don't know if we can
grab it.
I'm just going to give it to Darren because we work with him. But I'm not going to give it to the people. Sorry, not yet.
It would be too powerful.
Yeah.
All right, so I've grabbed my layers in here just as 3 simple layers so I can super comp them together. Let's see. Might keep SuperComp floating today instead of docking it for this half-screen interface. We'll leave the letterboxing up there. We'll leave that there, and we will see on my color correction settings. Let's match the background a little bit more. Oh, that's much better. And let's add some light wrap. I'm going to turn it up too much for just a second so I can see what it's doing for me. And then turn it down to a subtler amount. And I'm going to make the mode, I'll leave the mode as normal there. We'll also add some teeny tiny bit of diffusion on the layer so it matches that kind of gauzy glow going on in there. A little bit hard to see, but it's doing some good blending there. And the edge looks a little bit off, so I'm going to grab the edge blend tool and just dial that up a teeny bit so you can see, instead of the harsh CG edge like this, I can kind of blur out just the alpha around the edge of this Raptor a little bit. And I'll try to match about the same amount of blur that's happening to the fingers there. And again, the lighting on this doesn't match tremendously, but I really like the detail that the way this scene reads right now.
Yeah.
And in fact, I might go to my pre-comp of the Raptor layer here and just add a new black solid that has a track mat on it, so I can put it down by the neck like this and then do a little feathered mask in here. Let me just fit that to the screen again, and I'll just draw a little cheaty feathered mask down there that just darkens the neck there instead of fixing it in lighting. And then if I go to my SuperComp mode, then it'll darken that neck up a little bit. All right, so didn't complete my video version of it, but I kind of like where this is. I might brighten up that Raptor a little bit, but
brighten up that Raptor. That's not a song.
It should be though.
Thanks. I'm gonna name this file KHAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAAA even more annoying. Chaotic.
Perfect. I'm going to stick with this version of Garden State, and we'll throw in a little. Look at this; it's official now.
Oh, it looks so good.
All right, so let's save this frame here, and we'll throw that to our Twitter renders. This is exciting. What year was Garden State? 2003
or 4?
5-ish.
Oh gosh, was it 5?
It could have. I don't know. What year was Garden State, audience? You know what? Actually, you're on a delay. I'm going to look it up over here.
They're still. Garden State just came out for them.
2004. So we was right between what we thought.
The tongue.
My goodness.
The tongue always makes it even more insane.
It does. I love this tongue. Ooh, have we done a Braveheart one yet with a blue face paint? That's a pretty phenomenal idea.
Do it. I think we have found, although I don't want to say this out loud because it absolutely does not apply to every single one we've done, but we have found that some of the best ones we've done are where we replace problematic actors with a Raptor.
Absolutely. There's something unspoken about how gratifying it is to replace one monster with another. There, I said it. I don't know.
You said it, but it doesn't apply to all of them.
Doesn't apply to all of them. And you use your own judgment to guide you through how you think we were interpreting it, and you are correct.
Unless it's Matthew Broderick.
Oh, poor Matthew Broderick. Uh-oh, I might have frozen my computer. Am I back?
I see you. You never froze.
Did I disappear? Oh, no. See, I was here all along. let's see, where's the there's a good still. Oh my god, there are phenomenal stills from that moment.
Oh, which one?
I mean, we've got
oh my gosh, it's like, how are you gonna? Okay, that's gonna be.
I mean, this one's practically done. I think I could just throw our watermark on it.
So you're going to be manipulating the texture a bit. I've not directly messed with JC. We already did Baby Driver with a Raptor. It was called West Side Story.
It was. Yeah, we will only acknowledge him as Baby Driver.
It's true.
Is his name.
Garden Raptor. That's a different movie, Hush. I'm looking at the name of your files. Garden Raptor is a movie I'm very excited to see. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, I don't know if this is funny or if he's replaced in a, you know, like there's the typical image, like where it's a front and center version of the Raptor with a blue face paint. And there's also what is sometimes a lot of fun where it's more of like where they're more in situ Raptor. So you have, you know, more going on and have to.
That's pretty funny. The thing is, if you can match the energy of that other one, that first one, I think it's going to be the way to go.
Chaotic one. God, where did it go?
So this one of Khan, this is what I was expecting was going to happen. It's tough. I can get his mouth in front of the jacket. I'm not worried about that. But it's like, this is all throat. That's all this shot is. And I could like reposition him, like rotate him, but then he's just like, I don't know, you lose the comedy of it if it's not. I feel like it feels like he's acting the camera, and it's funnier if he's not.
All right, I'm still searching for a good Braveheart image because I think that's a fun challenge.
I wonder if I swap, if I flip it on the x-axis. Rotate him around.
All right, you know what? I am going to try that the bloodied face image.
Do it.
Braveheart War Cry. All right, so I'm going to open up my. I do have a project file that has some good pre-existing situations with Raptors. So this one is the one that I did the Darth Vader in. So I do have a modified. See, where is it? Raptor texture. Is it this one? Yeah, so this was my modified Darth Vader texture where it was just sort of that ashy skin, a couple of scars up in the top corner there, and then that ported over nicely to this unmasked moment. Let that load up. Here we go, yeah. So I think I can use this as a base for painting a war cry face for Braveheart. So I'm going to call that character Braveheart throughout this.
Oh, Darren says C teams. I'm going to finish this con and still have time to possibly put him in a space helmet.
Oh my goodness. You see, another tremendous benefit of working with the most insanely talented group of people with the software we're using. All right, so this original file, the best one I can find is not Oh, that looks even worse than I remember. Quality-wise, I thought it looked better over here.
Okay, take a second, take stock of both of our images real quick. Both of our screens.
You see, this is the perfect, what do you do for work, Dad? Moment for everyone involved.
I think our thumbnail needs to involve both of these images. I don't know if we want Mel Gibson to be the face of VFX and chill, but this right here is VFX and chill happening. Oh my gosh.
It really is. I've got to find someone who's captured this moment in a better resolution. I think it's a quite in motion moment is my guess.
I'm going to try Shot Deck, see if it's there.
Sure.
Braveheart, nothing but Braveheart. Looking for Braveheart. It's searching Star Trek Wrath of Khan and Braveheart and somehow had results. So far, we've got lots of landscape, lots of death,
landscape,
blood, anti-Semitism, and homophobia. Oh, wait, no, sorry. That's not this one.
He truly had a brave heart.
I'm actually going to spare us from those jokes because it's depressing how he turned out to be. Let's see. What do we got?
All right. So it's back up high. Like, if these are in order, we've got...
These are in order. He's in good shape at this point. Oh!
See, oh man, there's that...
There's this thing.
That moment is pretty exciting. Ooh. That feels very fun and super compy. I wonder if maybe I should grab that clip and do another motion clip. Braveheart, fire, scene. I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to get something good from that.
Revenge in the Night clip. I don't remember situationally what is happening enough to look up.
I don't either. Maybe it'll give me
try to find this clip in HD. Okay. Revenge in the Night, clip 6 of 9 from Braveheart on movie clips.
He looks insane. What if Shot Deck could tell you what movie clips clip to find the video in?
Oh, is it? Oh, it's a nightmare scene. I'd forgotten that. It's the scribe from Dragonheart having a nightmare about William Wallace riding toward him.
You made that sound like the weirdest crossover event ever.
Dennis Quaid.
Like, meanwhile, in Dragonheart.
Dragonheart and Braveheart should exist in the same universe. I think that they could.
All right, I'm gonna
Dragonheart, but with a Velociraptor could be fun. Especially if we just replace like Dina Meyer or something like that. And
it's like there's a lot going on in this movie. What was I doing? Oh, noise there.
All right, we only got 20 minutes, so I'll do it. We'll do the quick version of this. So screaming. Let's bring in our Raptor here. All right, which one should I grab? I'll grab. Where's the default comp? Oh, I overwrote it. What was I thinking? Here we go. Let's grab this default Raptor. Let's paste him in the Warcry scene. See, look how fast that was. And then we'll just grab, let's find a moment in this, see, building intensity. Let's replace it with that. Replace whoops, not open in Explorer. Let's replace this model with my scared, screaming Raptor. Oh, you've got some good like screams in here too. I'm going to grab the Inglorious Scream. Let's see what that does.
Inglorious Scream is okay.
Weird, it's off center.
Shouldn't be.
Or maybe it's just...
Did you grab the Cinema 4D or the OBJ?
I thought I grabbed the OBJ sequence, but I'm not.
Don't go for Inglorious.
Normalize it or something.
Don't go for Inglorious. It's kind of a nightmare. I would say go for...
I can just grab that building intensity one. I knew that worked.
Okay.
Ish. Let's see.
I also just did Con.
Replace.
Con's a big scream too that I just did. And Doc. I don't know why I do an original scream each time, but it's me.
It's the process. It's pretty good. I am all about the recycling. All right, let's grab the intensity one and we'll say okay. And I think that my element layer is a different size than the footage here. So I'm going to have to resize that. I'm going to have to ditch the null that I created. I'm going to go unlink that because it's all using the wrong system. Delete, unlink,
I never do
that.
I keep the same null and it works just fine.
All right, so here's this Raptor, and let's go to its particle look animation in here. And let's go to the frame offset. Let's scroll through and find where, I think toward the 200 frames is when this Raptor starts screaming. Oops, maybe I didn't select all the frames in here. 386. There we go. Okay, let's get you to your screaming pose. View it from the side real quick so I can see a good like tongue moment. That's a pretty good scream there. So let's go ahead and position this Raptor.
I got Con done. What am I gonna do? Or I got Kirk.
Oh, let's see that.
It's pretty simple. And what's funny is
screen's hidden here.
It's a pretty straightforward comp here too. I didn't get to do anything super impressive, so I'm wondering if next I should do something a little more.
I feel like to get it's sort of like with like photos of a bald eagle. Like the more if they're straight on, they look like idiots, and so you have to with Raptors. Like there's a lot more character in this.
I forgot you were trying
angle than straight on, because their face gets compressed in a really weird way.
Speaking of compressed in a weird way, if you look at my screen, I forgot you were working on this one. Did you abandon it?
Oh, I was working on it. I abandoned that one a little bit. I was somewhere in between looking like a proper RoboCop and looking like the Goombas from
Super Mario Brothers,
the Mario movie. Okay, so I think that this is a good angle for this Raptor scream, regardless of what the original actor's face is doing. And so I'll grab that, and I'm going to grab my other texture in here. So let's go over to Darth Vader, and let's duplicate our Darth Vader texture, and we'll call that Brave Heart Raptor skin, because we are grown-ups working on serious business things. Okay, Braveheart Raptor skin. I'll drag that in here, hide it. I'll assign it as the custom layer in element here. Let's grab Braveheart Raptor skin, and then we'll dive into scene setup, and we will replace the diffuse with that. All right, so this is first going to be my Darth Vader, like ashy white kind of situation, which is all right. But let's pull out I'm just going to duplicate this little layer right here with Mr. Wallace and just pull it over to the side so I can kind of imagine what's happening here. So it's not white; it's just blue paint on one side of the face, which is perfect because this character is blue. So we've got. Let's dive into our pre-comp here. There are a couple of different ways we could do this. We could keep. Let's see how we do this. I'm just going to keep jumping back and forth instead of trying to lock a composition window so I can watch it as I'm going. So let me turn off my weird adjustment layer that was toning everything that color. And let's see if... Actually, let's switch it to a tritone and pick a blue color and try to get something that is... It should be blue, but kind of gray, gross, desaturated blue. And then this is one side of his face. So what if I were to draw a little mask around this adjustment layer and just grab this one side of the face? Let's see what that would look like. Oops, did that not complete? Mask here. Why is... Oh, I already have a mask on there. Okay. So let's say if it were half and half blue, what does that look like over here? All right. So now we're in like avatar territory. Let's turn down some of these lights and start matching them up a little bit better too. Okay, which light is this? Is this a rim? Yeah, that's a kind of useless rim.
Gosh. I just looked at yours. It's amazing.
Okay, it's turned down. Now that light was good. That light kind of matches. This light, I can darken up the face a little bit, give it a bit of negative fill. Okay, so I think that lighting in that position is good. So let's go ahead and say view new viewer, which will basically pop out a version of my Raptor here. And then if I want to go over to my Braveheart Raptor skin, I can be editing it here and watching it update over here. Now, instead of a mask on my adjustment layer, I'm going to add a new solid above this adjustment layer, and I'm going to use that as an alpha matte. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to draw this mask again for the half of Raptor's face here, but I want to add some roughen edges to it. And if I added roughen edges to this existing adjustment layer, it'll try to roughen the edges of the layers below it instead of the actual alpha edge of this. So we've got, it's half his face on this side, right? So let's grab this. Let's add some roughen edges to it. And now as I dial up this over here, running out of screen space. Let's start with standard roughen. Or actually, maybe let's do rusty. I think that would work well. So that'll break up the edge here a little bit, so it's not so organic. We'll turn up the complexity a little bit, so there are some layers of noise in there, so it looks more like flecked off paint. And we will turn down the edge sharpness a bit, so it's a little bit more fadey, and turn up the border a little bit more. In fact, let's do a combination of roughen edges. We'll add two of them. We'll put the rusty one second, and we'll put a roughen first that has a little bit of a greater breakup of the edge first before we're doing that rusty pattern to it. So I like to do this a lot, combining either two fractal noises or two roughen edges in a way, because you can do one with broad strokes, like a very loose edge and then the second one that has a highly detailed paint fleck situation. And you can sort of see the result over here is pretty cool. So what did I do?
I was going to try this shining shot, but it is not going to work. He fills the frame.
That nose too big.
All right. Darren, I'm going to open up your file. Let's see what I can get out of this. If I can know what I'm doing is really what I'm more worried about.
All right. So one thing that is getting a little bit messed up is we've got the normals map in here. And what it does is it's trying to add that Raptor skin values to the painted side of his face, but really I would like that disappearing a little bit more, because the face paint is sort of should be like caking this stuff together a little bit. So there are a couple of things I could do. I could probably just go over to my element layer and turn down the normal map overall. And the other thing I could do is building an actual custom normal map for this. So if I turn this down, what you should see happen is it'll...
Oh, where'd you go?
Am I here?
You're
Can
back.
you hear me? Yeah. Talking. Cool. All right. I turned down my normal bump a little bit so the skin won't be so prominent. I'm hoping when I let go of that, there we go. That's a little bit more like paint sitting on the surface. There's still quite a lot of detail coming through the diffuse of this. So I'm going to go into here, and on my adjustment layer itself, I'm going to keep my existing legacy brightness and contrast, but I'm going to reduce the contrast even more. So a lot of that skin detail is getting disappeared, and you're just left with the that was maybe too much. You see what I'm doing. I'm trying to make it look more like paint on his skin as opposed to the skin being blue inherently. And maybe one thing that could also help this all would be to add, to take my rusty roughen edges, and I'll spread that a little bit more through all of the blue paint. Oops, autosave. Autosave. Oh, where'd you go?
Oh, no. Oh.
Autosave done me in.
Meanwhile, I'm
All
opening
right.
up Darren's thing, and this is fun.
What have we got? What is Darren Frankowitz made for you
man.
over there?
I mean, if we didn't have 6 minutes left, I would just bring Darren on the show to explain this. Something called FFD.
Oh yeah, a
Friends for Days. And
Friends for Days.
That's what we have here on the Maxon training team. But I do know that when I'm moving these points around, it is deforming the Raptor, as I always dreamed. So I wonder then if I add more points to the FFD and adjust the size, but do not keyframe FFD PSR. Okay, I won't. I'll turn off.
After Effects. All right, so my last version was that was from yesterday. So let's see what other autosaves exist here. So we do have one from a few minutes ago. Let's see if that one missing data in file. Okay, so not that one. So let's try this version 37 autosave. Turn your autosaves up to a high value, everyone. Because hopefully we'll see that I didn't lose much. Good, I did not lose very much. Just a little bit of work that I'd done in here. So let's, what did I miss? I'm missing my duplicate roughen edges, and I wanted to turn up the border on this paint texture. So I'm getting a nice, really spread out kind of thing. And in fact, if I scale the width or height on this, I might get something that looks more like streaks of paint. I don't know which direction will look proper when I look at this, but yeah, one broad roughen edges to just warble the edge like this, and then a second roughen edges that adds those streaks of kind of like missing paint or whatever. So let's see how that looks in our Warcry composition. Yeah, 4 minutes left. We can do it. This looks all right. It looks like this is before I had messed with the normals as well. So I think I am going to actually bring in the normals map into After Effects so I can be modifying that too. I think I have time. All right, let's go to our Raptor assets, 3D, textures. Blue normal. All right, so in here, what I'm going to do is instead of leaving this nice crisp normal matte, I'm going to add an adjustment layer above it, and I'll, select these normals, and I'm going to kind of stipple them out a little bit. So I could use, let me try scattering a little bit. Let's try maybe a CC scatterize to this. So what that'll do is it should mess a lot with how sharp everything is here. Oh, I forgot it. Messes with the alpha too. Let's just use standard scatter. Kind of like a blur, but also gets a little bit of detail, and then I'll add some subtle fast box blur to that. And that should be, instead of this nice crisp skin normal, it'll be kind of it's roughly following the normal, but it's blurred out, and it's a little bit more scattered as if there's a layer of paint on top of it. Nice, so I'll do that, skin. Feather this out. Sorry, I'm talking lots. How's it going over there, Seth?
Oh, I'm just being creepy and saying crisp skin normal.
Crisp skin.
I'm messing around with this FFD stuff, and this is really fun. I can't figure out. I know Darren and JC are screaming at me from the chat. I'm trying to figure out how to best use it, but this is incredibly fun and promising. Oh, look at that. That's fun. It's like his bones are straight up broken inside of there, but that is definitely getting me the vibe I was going for.
That is an interesting Raptor. You got like a Howard the Duck Raptor. This is what I needed for that one.
Whoa! Ooh.
All right, let's jump in here. Let's quickly replace this normal bump with this custom normal bump. Okay, there we go. That smooths out that stuff a little bit. I'm going to... I haven't properly saved this. I'm still working in my autosave comp. Well, so let's bring this out here.
Hosh, I will say it's 1:59. We should probably wrap up.
Oh, yes, we should. All right. Exactly. Well, I am willing to, at some point, finish this this silly blue Raptor bit. What I think I'm missing is that this is really just a tint, and what I've got to do is load in something that actually has the same proper paint texture like this, so it looks more opaque on top of everything. So it's getting rid of that skin texture. I don't know entirely what I would do for that. I would maybe keep this, and I would add some fractal noise if I wanted to keep it all in After Effects, and just change the blending mode to overlay and make it more subtle. Something like that. But yeah, I think this was a fun, ridiculous look at whatever it is we do here. But obviously, like how many pieces did you make over there, Seth? You got through quite a lot.
I made two. I made Con and I made Doc, or Kirk and Doc, which is the name of my new my pilot I'm writing. Kirk and Doc. Instead of
Kirk
Spock.
and Doc.
It just replaces Emmett Brown. Replaces Spock with Emmett Brown. Yeah, that's it. That's crazy energy I'm going for. Hey, listen. I think we should wrap up probably.
Let's do it. Yeah. So I got to hear with Braveheart or whatever. I'm gonna play with that more, apply some super comp color matching and some highlights and stuff. But we're on our way. It was a great suggestion, so I'm happy to be.
We can only see Mel. Where's the Raptor?
Oh, I forgot. I just switched over to full screen casually. So obviously, yeah, no color matching going on yet. But here's the general idea.
Well, and everybody, this is what Hashi and I do with our time these days. Thank you for watching all the way through. Please, for the love of God, be safe out there. We are not going to be here next Friday. The all company meeting is going on for Maxon. So
absolutely enjoy your Friday morning. Do something creative with that same time slot or catch up on our old episodes. We've got a lot of exciting stuff. And yeah, over the next weekend or so, share But with Raptors with all of your friends and family. They will enjoy it, and they will know that that's how you spend your time as well.
Hosh, have a really good time in Germany. Be safe, and
thank you much.
See you guys in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
See you then.